Alright, so what I did is I went to source and I made a new class and I called it RSVP since it's we're trying to do anyway. And I made public RSVP and it's expecting a Boolean. So once you get this complete, go back to your lesson 16. And what we're going to do down here is we're going to call a test because we just talked about how it's not creating a new object, it's just using the information from guest. So what we're going to do is we're going to print a test to see if guest is equal to guest 2. So remember, if you're running a Boolean test, you have to use a double equal. So go ahead and run it and run lesson 16 and it is true. Okay, so what this does not mean is that there are two guests with a true answer. It means that these are referring to the same object. So like if your family got invited to a wedding and all of you decide to go, you would only send in one response instead of sending in the same number as you have family members. So now that we can tell the difference between when we create an object and when we don't, let's change this. So I'm going to delete this right here. We're going to say RSVP for guest 2 equals a new RSVP, and this one's going to be false. So this person is not going to be attending wherever we're making this recipe, our potluck. And if you click save, you notice we don't have any errors in these three different programs. So it means that it does compile. So let's run our test, and now it returns a false because guest and guest 2 are no longer the same result. Okay, so now let's make this a little bit more interesting. So we have guest is true, guest 2 is false. Let's make them both true. So change your RSVP for guest 2, and let's run this again and see what happens. It gives us a false. Both answers are true. You would think they would give you the same result, but it says false. Why? What happens when you do this double equal is it does not compare the content. So it's not looking at guest 2 and saying it's true and guest is also true. It's not looking at the content of them. It is looking to see if they have been set equal to each other as variables. So double equals compares to see if two objects are the same object. Since these are two different objects that have been created, your result is false. So what if you want to see if their contents are the same? So you would do, and I'm going to copy and paste this part, so from system to guest, and instead of doing the double equals, you would call the method dot equals and do guest 2 to see if they're equal. So now if we're looking at this, this is still going to say false, but this should say true because it's looking at the contents now. So let's run it and see. False, false. Alright, sorry to disappoint you. So what this equals does is it inherits the equals from the cosmic superclass, which sounds ridiculous, but that's what it's actually called, the cosmic superclass. Alright, so in order to get this to work, you have to go, because you're calling the RSVP class, so you have to go into the RSVP class and you have to make a new method called public Boolean equals, because you're testing if it's yes or no. And we're going to do some stuff that you might not understand right away, but you eventually will. So you just got to bear with me for right now. So you, as the programmer, are going to have to create your equals class for RSVP, or for your RSVP class for your method equals. Okay, so we're not actually going to create it. You are done with lesson 16, so you have some questions to do and the project gas mileage. So good luck. Please let me know if you have any questions, and please come talk to me if you run into any issues with this. I know this lessons 15 and 16 are probably the hardest ones that you will have to tackle during this entire class. So once you understand these, things will start making a lot more sense to you, but it will take some work on your part. So please come talk to me if you have any questions. Good luck.